Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When a nuclear power, global nuclear power, warns that the World War III is underway, if you continue doing what you've been doing and, according to them, escalating, what would you do if you would be on the other side like we are? Putin, he doesn't threaten. He's letting us know that World War III is underway. What could that look like? And I'm going to show you Putin's argument and saying we're going towards that World War III. This is the direction. The pattern has been already formed. You are continuing the pattern. We are going to respond, according to the Russians, and you keep pushing it. Until they, which are the big interests, don't get a little bit uncomfortable, to use euphemisms, a little bit uncomfortable, made to feel uncomfortable, they will continue to push you, Ukrainians, Romanians, Poles, Baltic states, whomever, for their profits. Let me show you the first article here coming from Russia Today. Putin vows retaliation for Ukrainian drone strike. The organizers of the strike on Kazan will regret what they did, the Russian president said. So whoever, and no matter how hard they try to destroy something in Russia, they will face many times greater destruction in their own country for it, and will also regret that they are trying to do in our country, what they're trying to do in our country. I'm confident that the regional authorities will restore everything that was damaged by our enemies and adversaries. So enemies are some, adversaries are the other one. What happened? You remember, it was the terrorist attack. You can go and watch it. That drones that hit that high-rise skyscraper, not a business, in Kazan, Russia, about 600 miles away from the front, at least. So Putin said, we're going to hit you back 5 times more. Okay. Well, you say, well, they're entitled to do that. Attack on civilians is considered a war crime, as a reminder, regardless of who does it. The Russians, the Americans, the Ukrainians, the Romanians, it's still a war crime. Or the Israelis. Oh, no, my bad, I take that back. In self-defense, you can do a lot of things. So, that's the first one. Second article that I have here is again coming from Russia Today from the 22nd of December 2024. Putin said, if World War III is underway, Moscow will always respond to any escalation by the West, the Russian president has stressed. The threat level is rising globally, but there is no need to scare people with talk of World War III, he says. During an interview published by Russia One TV journalist Pavel Zarubin on Sunday, Putin was asked if the extensive involvement of the US in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine meant that World War III has already begun. And he said, one should not scare people. There are many dangers and they keep increasing. We see what our current opponents are doing. United States of America, that is for you, and the British and so on. They are escalating the situation. That means going in direction. If, and I'm quoting Putin again, if they want it so much, if their life is so bad, let them escalate. So they're saying, we don't take responsibility, we're just going to respond to the escalation, according to the President Putin. Russia will, and I'm quoting, always respond to any challenge coming from the West. And when our current opponents and maybe potential partners, you see, he's looking in the future, like, baby doll, you're lost, take it easy, let's return to doing business as we can, which is backstabbing. We'll finally hear, understand, and realize this. It seems to me that at that point the realization will come that what is needed is to seek compromises. Moscow is ready to try to rebuild ties with the US and its allies, but it should only happen without harming our interest. You have interest, I have interest. You ignore my interest, I will ignore your interest. You know why? Because I can. As a small country, weak country, you can't ignore. They're going to come and smack you. Russia says, no, you can't. You try with all your lackeys, all your plantation. You activated them, and we're still advancing. We didn't collapse economically. Socially, we're getting great. Our social, ideology is healthy, unlike your perversions, and so on. And people see this. Even these guys are banning them from being able to see what they promote over there. So if the World War III is underway, it is underway, and I'm going to show you more. Here, he said escalation, correct? Where's the escalation going to go to? Western aid covers nearly 90% of Ukraine's spending in 2022. 2024, anal is. All right. Russia has reportedly warned that the US and its Western sponsors' assistance to Kiev regime will only prolong the Ukrainian conflict. Western financing of Ukraine reached a whopping $238.5 billion from February 2022 to the beginning of December 2024, which approximately corresponds to 87% of Ukraine's budget expenses. So who's paying for that? Sputnik research based on information from Ukrainian Finance Ministry, the University of Kyiv, and open data has shown. So the expenses of the Ukrainian budget in 2022-2023 amounted to $193.3 billion, while in 2024 the figure is expected to stand at $81.3 billion. It means that over the past 3 years, the expenses have increased to $274.6 billion, according to analyzed data. So who's paying for that? So these guys continue to use our money, our resources, to give it to the neighbors' kids. So they take for our kids to give it to the neighbors' kids because they have an interest of making a profit. Now, that, plus this little article here ready for you, coming from Zelensky and Z-stein, we're going to tell you that it's going to the World War III, but Putin says it all depends on how these guys are acting, because according to Putin, we are reacting. So you go higher, we're going to meet the challenge. You go higher, meet the challenge. So where is that going to go? Let's see what the Russians did not employ yet. Oh yeah, they didn't employ nuclear weapons yet. Tactical nuclear weapons. So here is new voice of Ukraine. Zelensky commits to more drone and missile strikes as Russia escalates attacks. Or see, when you want to, he's pretty, look at this guy, he's pretty guy right here. These pictures are obviously made for us. Whenever he has something to say hard, he's portrayed like Churchill and so on. Now, you see, if you want to solve a problem, you go to the beginning. The conditions that, allowed this problem to occur. And then you look at the chronology of events, and you put everything that's relevant into the chronology of events. Okay, you touched my wife, I got my gun, I showed you where to go, and then I talked to you. All right, so that's a chronology, and say, oh, he came with a woman. Okay, let's go back. What happened? You touched my wife, for instance. All right, so again, as what's his name? The weasel stays over there like this. Okay, as I am. They start with the Russians escalate attacks, and we just need to respond. So who's attacking whom? Oh, the Russians attacked Ukraine, we're told. Ukraine will continue striking Russian military targets, increasingly relying on domestically produced drones and missiles. You got that? So, and it's only military targets, but they struck Kazan, which is not a military target. They were a skyscraper. So that was a terrorist attack or a war crime. So again, remember, they will always use this now. Domestically produced drones and missiles. Some of them are, but why do they do that? They want to be able to use the Western weapons, missiles and drones to hit deep inside Russia, claim it was their domestically built, so the Russians cannot hit the weasels back, which is the sponsors that I just made. The other I provide you with the other article. So the problem is it's an escalation, and is going towards that. It is already ongoing. It's just how far will they go? Because if you have NATO countries So what's a world war? World war is something that is more than a regional war. You have more countries involved, than two, like let's say Poland and Germany. When Poland and Germany invaded Poland in September 1st, 1939, it was not a world war. It was a war between two countries. That's why when these guys say the World War started when the Germans, invaded, that's not correct. A war started. It became a world war when the Brits and the French got involved. And then the Soviets got involved and so on. That's when it became bigger and bigger. Remember the chronology of events? You can say, well, still the Germans invaded Poland. Why? Because the Poles were negotiating with the Germans in bad faith about Danzig and the transfer of population and so on. Why? If you have a blank check by the Brits and the French with the help of those guys telling you if the don't negotiate with the Germans, don't give them anything, because if the Germans will give you the ultimatum, we're gonna defend you. Why do you need to negotiate? I'm not gonna negotiate with you. So that's what happened, my friend. Part of it. Go and study more. I know the Poles have never done anything bad to anybody. Almost as the guys in the Middle East, the perpetual victims. But if you look in history, they really attacked everybody around their country when they were strong. And they're getting stronger, so wait for it. The Poles have balls. Unfortunately, they are under the US's thumb so far. It's the Trojan horse, one of the Trojan horse in Europe. I'm not talking about Germany. Germany is occupied. These guys are not yet that occupied. So yes, he says we're going to use our little drones, not the Western drones, and that's it. All right? And the Russians will escalate. Will escalate, right? Because they escalate. Again, with the Russian invasion of, how's that? Unprovoked. These guys are just thinking that we are baboons. We're just bottom feeder over there, and we don't understand what's going on. It was unprovoked. Do you remember October, November, December 2021? Do you remember January 2022? What did the Russians try to do? They spoke with NATO. Hey, we got to discuss. What NATO did in the United States? We have here some sponsors that would like you to cause some destruction so they can make a profit by reconstructing and supporting the war effort against your unprovoked war. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We are in a World War III. It's just how far it's going to go. Why World War III? How many countries fight Russia? Most of NATO. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.